Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nips every day in order to get some of that dirty YouTube money so I can afford to teach you folks classes in the real world. Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com, free D&D user hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever it is you want to do. We're going to be having a class on AI and SQL coming up in Durham, North Carolina on the 5th. We're going to have a class on AI and web scraping coming up in Durham on November 19th, is that correct? I think it's like 19th. I don't know. Go to silicondojo.com and you can see when those are scheduled. Do remember, free to the end user is not actually free. The reason I'm shaking my brain nipples, if you'd like to throw some money in to help support what I am doing, there is a donor box link down below. And, well, I mean, the good news is it's not as many layoffs. Haha! See, the nice part about having already done a video talking about Amazon laying off 30,000 employees is basically any other layoff video I do isn't gonna be that bad. That's a positive. We got to look at the positives in 2025 because I feel like in 2026 there's just not going to be very many of them. And so this is just interesting, again, to show you how the corporate world is essentially self-destructing at this point, especially as far as in regards to jobs go, as all of these companies are literally just dumping employees by the thousands, right? Most of this is for quote unquote efficiency in order to make stockholders happy. Because hey, you may not be able to pay your mortgage, your kid may have to sell their bungholes out behind the 7-Eleven, but the important thing is that Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire. We as a nation will suffer whatever is required for Elon Musk to become the world's first trillionaire. But that really does seem to be what it's about at this point in time. It is all about the investor class. Like, I feel like that's a weird thing with AI. You know how all these tech companies come out and they're like, yeah, AI is gonna screw everybody. And the thing is, it's not really that AI is necessarily that much worse than any other technology. It's just like they're so blunt about it. They're so blunt about it. Like, they've never really been that blunt about it before. Normally, they talk about the benefits and how this is going to be wonderful, and then a side effect that they sweep under the rug is unemployment. They're not normally out there like, I feel like that's kind of what's going on with the stock market right now too, is normally when they talk about the stock market, right, you know, it's good for the investors, it's good for grandmas and grandpas and retirement funds and all that kind of stuff. And that's why you should care about the value of the stock price. But now I feel like, you know, these people are coming out at this point, right? The rich people are coming out and they're just like, fuck poors. Fuck the poors. Right? Like, what is important is that I make more money. Literally nothing else matters. If we burn our society to the ground, as long as I made another couple of $1 billion, that is what's important. And I'll be curious to see how this works out. Again, like, it's weird with the government, and this was under Biden, and they're talking now about it more under Trump. The whole K-shaped recovery. K-shaped. There is no K-shaped recovery, jackasses. Like, when you say K-shaped recovery, I'm not even sure how to take that concept, right? The idea with the K-shaped recovery is that the poor people are doing worse and the rich people are doing better. That's not a fucking recovery, you dipshits. But anyways, right? Hey, we're going through a recovery. It just happens to be K-shaped. So anyways, the latest thing is Paramount. Paramount is going to be laying off 1,000 of their corporate workers. So they just got bought out by Larry Ellison's kid, David Ellison. So with Paramount, and they're going to be dumping 1,000 employees. And why I talk about this is, again, start noticing. Target is dumping 1,800 employees. Amazon is dumping 30,000 employees. Microsoft dumped 16,000 employees. Intel has dumped 20,000 employees. And what I want you to see is just the drum beat of these layoffs. It is not that Amazon tripped and stumbled and they have to right themselves, ergo they have to do a nasty amount of layoffs. This is what is going on across the board, and it is all about shareholder value. And even as somebody who says we are not in late stage capitalism, I do gotta say, I think this is going to get us into ugly stage capitalism. Holy, I mean, and like I say, because they're just so blunt about it. They're just so like, right? Anyways, David Ellison's company is set to eliminate 1,000 positions on Wednesday. Paramount may be planning to shed more jobs later on, as Variety reported in August that the company's new leadership could let go of 2,000 to 3,000 employees in total. Ellison promised investors he could deliver $2 billion in cost savings when he merged Paramount with his production company Skydance. The merger closed in August. So again, think about this. So 1,000 people gone. 2,000 to 3,000 people probably going in total. Why? Because he wants to deliver that $2 billion in cost savings to make the investors happy. Paramount president Jeff Shell previously said that the Paramount's cuts would be painful but swift. We do not want to be a company that has layoffs every quarter, Shell said at a press briefing. Paramount's new leaders have also told employees that they'll have to return to office 5 days a week in early January and offer those who are unwilling to comply with a severance package. And so that's about really all there is. They're just eliminating employees, again, to make the investors happy. So yeah, I guess Trump's economy is working right. The investors are making more and more money, and the people that actually build crap are getting screwed over. So yeah, I wonder how this is going to work out at the end of the day. I talk about these layoffs just so you can really fully understand the magnitude of what's going on, and by hearing these from all of these different companies and almost all of these companies, it really does go back to shareholder value. Like so much of this stuff is about pleasing the stock market. So it'll be curious to see, just how far this continues. And the other thing to be thinking about too is a lot of this is about pleasing the stock market. What happens when the economy actually does start seizing up, right? If they're laying off tens of thousands of employees just to make stockholders happy, right? That's its own thing. What happens when the economy itself actually starts seizing up? And so they've got to start worrying about things like viability, right? Again, you look at Amazon, they've laid off, what did I say, 57? So since 2022, it'll be 57,000 employees gone. And that's just for efficiency gain. What happens when they're worried about their survival? How many employees could they actually dump? And I think those numbers are going to be just absolutely astronomical. As I've talked about for a while now, so many of these companies, right, they were hiring people just to put asses in seats. They wanted to show investors that they were successful. How do you show investors that you're successful? You do that by showing how many employees you have. Right? Things change. So now it's no longer cool to have a lot of employees, so they're getting rid of their employees. And yeah, I wonder how brutal this is going to get. This is where you need to be thinking about, as I've talked about many times. Are you in a good life situation? If you lost your job, what would happen, right? If you're thinking about buying a house, if you're thinking about buying a car, if you're thinking about going to Disney World, this is probably not the time to do it, to be quite frank, right? If during recessions, right, some people don't get laid off, some people do better than ever. So here's the thing, if you put money aside, if you don't spend that money now because you're trying to be prepared, if you do get laid off in 2 or 3 years, once the economy is back on track, then you got a pile of money and you can use that to spend, to pay for a down payment on a house. That's going to be half the price of if you paid for it now, right? There's very little downside to being prepared for a recession, and very little upside for not being prepared for one. So be careful and think about it. Go to your boss. Understand why you provide value for your company, right? If you go, I think about this like with tech employees a lot nowadays. What's fascinating with me with tech employees now is they don't really understand why their position exists. Like I've talked about this before. So throughout my tech career, there may have been a big question about why I was in the position. There may have been a question about why I got paid what I did. But there is no question about why the position existed, right? Computers needed to be repaired. Print servers needed to print. File servers needed to work. VPN services needed to function. Internet needed to be up and running, right? So there may have been arguments about whether or not I should have done the job. But there was really no argument that that position should exist, right? I think one of the fascinating things when I talk with young people nowadays is they don't even actually understand why the position exists. It's not simply that they don't understand why they have the position, not simply that they don't really understand why they get paid what they do. They don't even really understand why that position exists, right? They can't even argue what the benefit of the position is to the company before you get to the argument about whether or not you should be the one in that particular position. And so I think that's an important thing to be thinking about right now, is trying to really solidify and understand, why does your position exist in your company? Fundamentally, right? When your company starts chopping off bits in order to save itself, why should your position continue to be there, right? They're going to continue to need email services. They're going to continue to need internet access. They're going to continue to need the databases to do what the databases do. They're going to continue to need AWS architecture, even if it's only a maintenance component, right? There are some of those things. But there's a lot of things out there. You might be doing work and you're like, do you feel comfortable that your position will be required when the economy really does start going sideways? Because you got to think about this too, right? With all these layoffs, these are people that are no longer receiving paychecks in a frozen job market, right? Our job market, theoretically, the unemployment rate is low, but it's frozen. We've talked about this for a while. So these people are going out, highly educated, highly skilled employees that basically thought they didn't have anything to worry about. They are now going into a job market that does not give two fucks that they exist, right? And so the problem is, think about that. If you're making $100,000 a year, that $100,000 is coming in and that shit's going out, right? That goes into the economy, right? They talk about the tech world. We've had 98,000 layoffs in tech companies this year alone, right? If, let's say, their average salary is $100,000, think about how much money they were cycling into their economy that's no longer getting cycled into the economy, right? That's a hell of a thing. So yeah, figure out what you're doing, why you're doing it, why your position is valuable, why you are valuable, and yeah, because this isn't the end of the beginning. This is the beginning of the beginning. This is the beginning of the beginning. Anyways, there you go. There you go. Oh, put your comments, put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick. I expect strong American comments, not no weak, wussy European comments down there. Be a Lutnick and tell me what you really think down in the comment section. Do you remember what I actually care about is Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com, free to user hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. Currently doing classes in Durham, North Carolina, doing a class on AI and SQL coming up next week, AI and web scraping coming up on, I do believe it's November 19th. If you go to the website, you can see what the schedule is. There's a donor box link down below. Do you remember free to the end user? It's not actually free. If you could help support those programs, that would be ever so lovely. And with that, I'm going to go have a cry. See y'all later.